Now we're going to talk about rim shots. Now, you probably thought, oh, a rim shot, we just did that. And you probably thought a rim shot was a cross stick. That's the way I used to think, and that's what a lot of drummers actually think. Now, a rim shot actually isn't a cross stick, okay? A rim shot is when you hit the head of the snare as well as the rim of the snare at the exact same time, and it produces a much louder stroke and a different sounding stroke, more thick and a little bit more boxy, in my opinion. And here's the thing, is when I first started playing drums, I never ever learned how to do a rim shot. So I never knew that, oh, I need to be able to do a rim shot on counts 2 and 4 and play the backbeat, you know, as a rim shot. And then I got into the studio, my first session ever, and the engineer or producer asked, hey, can you play a rim shot every time? Because he wanted the snare to be louder. And I was terrified because I had no idea how I was going to do that every time. I knew how to do it, but I didn't know how to do it consistently every time. So at the end of that session, I went home and I just practiced this. I practiced that for hours and hours and hours. Make sure you put earplugs in because it's very, very loud. But what you have to figure out is how to get it consistent. You know, how to get the first rim shot to sound like every other rim shot within the song. If you're playing a 2 or 3 minute song, you know, you have to be fairly consistent. And so I spent a lot of time working on that, and since have done a ton of sessions where I do rim shots all the time, and now it's just, you know, second nature. Sometimes I'll hit the snare in the middle, and that's the sound I want, but then sometimes I can do a rim shot and I can get that sound as well. And it's very important that you do that as well. So what I've done is I put together 10 exercises, and these are going to challenge you because they incorporate a ton of different note values, and they incorporate ghost notes, going into a rim shot really, really quickly. So you're going to be training on a lot of techniques that are associated with rim shot, as well as past techniques that we've talked about. And so it's important that you start these very, very slowly, and prior to even starting them, it's important that you know what a rim shot is and that you practice that a lot, okay? So now I'm going to go through these exercises at 2 tempos, just like all the other ones we've done. I'm going to go through it at 60, and then again, I'm going to go through them at 100 beats per minute. Now, you don't have to get it at 100 beats per minute before moving on. What I'd like you to do is get it at 80 beats per minute, be able to play each one perfectly for 2 minutes at 80 beats per minute, and then you can go ahead and move on to the next section. So now I'll go ahead and play these exercises for you. So as you watch me play those, you probably caught on that the notes that had an accent are the ones that are supposed to be rim shotted. And that is definitely the case. Those are the ones you want to hit on the rim and the middle of the drum. Now, a couple other things I want to touch on is, let's say you rim shot here with hitting the rim as well as hitting the drum head. That would sound like this. So it gives a little bit different of a sound, and that's cool if that's what you want. So you can experiment with, where your drum sounds the best. You could rim shot with the stick up here and down here, which would be a little bit more challenging, and you'd have to change your grip, but it all depends on the type of sound that you want. Another quick tip I want to give you is make sure your snare drum isn't too low. I'll see a lot of guys not know how to rim shot or not have the ability to rim shot because their snare drum's too low or it's angled like this and their seat positioning isn't proper. And so it's really, really hard to get a rim shot. So notice when I hit the rim shot here, I still have room, so I'm not bashing my leg every time. I still do by accident every once in a while when I'm using my hi-hat foot, but it's not bad. Like I remember back in the day when I was playing and gigging at different clubs and stuff, I would wind up with bruises on my leg at the end of the night, and you don't want to have to deal with that. And so make sure your snare drum is high enough, make sure you're sitting straight, and you're in the best posture to actually do the rim shots. So what I need you to do with these is practice them at 60 beats per minute, all of them. Be able to play them for 2 minutes straight perfectly at 60 beats per minute. Then also practice them all the way up to 80 beats per minute. Once you get them at 80 beats per minute perfectly for 2 minutes straight each, you can go ahead and move on to the next section.